How's it going, everybody? Ed Ricker here, and this is the RadioMaster TX16S. It's my newest radio for FPV drones, and I'll be reviewing it in this video. I first saw this radio in action when it was being used by Matt McConnell at his art studio. We were flying some micros around. Since then, I've seen it a million different places, and what we're going to do is talk about what makes it good, some pros, some cons, as well as comparing it to the Jumper T16, which it's very similar to. I used the Jumper for a while, and in fact, more recently I've been using the Taranis because I like the Taranis gimbals. My X90 Plus Hall effect gimbals felt really nice. Well, this one is actually feeling really nice with the Hall effect gimbals on the TX16S. It actually feels a lot better than the Jumper T16 gimbals. These are Hall gimbals, but these are much better. And they have a much better center feel to them. Not quite so clicky, a little bit more soft in the center, which is really nice. I've been using this radio for a lot of freestyle recently, also some chasing, where I'm chasing an FPV wing or something like that. Got some great footage of that, and that's all been done with the RadioMaster TX16S. Now you can find the TX16S on Race Day Quads for about $200. It comes in 3 different color schemes, this one being the carbon fiber scheme. And then there's also the TX16S Max, which is more expensive, has a few other cosmetic additions and stuff like that. But this one works just fine for what I mean to use with it, FPV quads. We have our antenna here, 2.4 gigahertz, and that's a multi-protocol module. And so you can be binding this to many different types of receiver protocol. Not removable, however, so you gotta make sure that you have space for this in whatever bag or case you're gonna be putting this in. We have our standard layout of switches. I don't really use these right here, and so I may remove them so that I can rest my fingers here a little bit nicer. You have your trim switches and all this, and then all these access buttons. Might as well power it on now, so let's hold the power button.
Welcome to EdgeTX.
You saw EdgeTX there. That's not stock. This comes stock with OpenTX. EdgeTX is just a better operating system, if you will, for the RadioMaster TX16S. And it seems like a lot of people now are upgrading their OpenTX radios to EdgeTX. This is a touchscreen. And believe it or not, it doesn't work when you first buy this radio because it's using OpenTX. And we're waiting on OpenTX 2.4 to enable the touchscreen. But they're not putting out OpenTX 2.4 for us to upgrade to. So we go to EdgeTX. We just forget about OpenTX, we flash EdgeTX onto the RadioMaster TX16S, and now we have a touchscreen. So I am going to review this radio with EdgeTX. In the video description below, there's a great video by Joshua Bardwell. Check his video and just use it to upgrade your TX16S to EdgeTX, especially because you don't even get all the features available to you of this radio until you do so. Now you have your buttons here, and we can go to the system, and we can go to our model setup and that type of thing. We can hold to select a model. We can use this jog wheel. I'm not sure if you can really see that well on camera. It's kind of bright. To select a model, or use that touch screen to select something, get out, use a simulator module, something like that, and then a return button. You also have your page back and page forward button. Yeah, the Jumper did not have a page back button. If you were to hold the page button, you could page back, but this one actually has a dedicated page back button. That's pretty handy. I also think that this metal jog wheel feels better than the Jumper jog wheel. And yeah, let's go look at some of these connectivity options. So if you go through the top here, you see USB-C. So that's another awesome thing. We have ditched our mini USBs and micro USBs in favor for USB-C. So up here is your data USB-C if you want to use this with a simulator on your computer. Then you go down here. This is your USB-C for charging. Yes, internal charging with the internal 18650 batteries. Mine didn't come with 18650s, so make sure you have a couple laying around, but they're right in this battery port. And here they are, and they're connected. So you might get a couple sessions worth of battery flight. Let's say maybe you're out there for 4 hours, and you remember to turn off your radio whenever you're not using it for any length of time. You might get 2 days worth of juice out of this radio, assuming you're also using a Crossfire module like I am. So if you're powering a Crossfire module, especially one churning out a lot of milliwattage, in the back JR bay here, which I always do. That's just like all my FPV 5-inch and up quads are on Crossfire. We're going to be using up these XT18650 batteries pretty quick. So I would probably always charge this after every session. Now that's different from, say, my Taranis X9D Plus, which I would use a 3-cell LiPo battery, and that seems to hold up for multiple flight sessions. In fact, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 even. But now here we really have to start keeping an eye on our battery level. Now with EdgeTX, you can add all these nice widgets to the front screen. Joshua Bardwell did a video about how he puts his, and I actually kind of just mimicked his, sorry. But one thing he added was the radio battery voltage. So it says battery 8.1, that is the radio battery voltage. If I were to take that Crossfire out, we just bumped up to 8.3 volts. So yes, having that Crossfire in there does drain the battery and potentially sag it a little bit. Now on the bottom there are also some UART ports, so you can be using those if you need to. Also your micro SD card for loading various internal programs. One thing that I added was TBS Agent Lite, so I can access my Crossfire transmitter straight from the radio, and that is pretty sweet. Now one thing I skipped over are these flight mode buttons, which I don't personally use, but you can map them to do different things. Not only flight modes, but also you can maybe adjust your analog VTX power output. We also have these pots here, and I've actually mapped them to do different things. This is going to be my throttle limit from 50 to 100, and then this is going to be my radio volume, so 0 to 100 in terms of how loud this speaker is talking to me, like, you know, when it powers on and different telemetry warnings. You do also have these sliders on the side, and for FPV quads, I don't use them. I'm sure if you did something with planes or whatever else, you might use those, but not me. All right, so how does it feel? Well, the way that I hold it is like this. And so I usually have my fingers resting here, my pointer fingers supporting the sticks, while my thumbs do the majority of the manipulation of the controls. If you're a thumber, you might be doing either something like this, in which case you're using your fingers on these finger supports. That makes a lot of sense, but this is how I like to fly, and I kind of hover even. Sometimes I won't even touch my palms to the radio, I'll just kind of hover. So that feels a lot better for me. They do give you a strap, which is not great quality. You probably want to upgrade to something better. So I just went back to my old Sweep Wings lanyard, which has a nice neck strap. It's kind of dirty and gross, but it feels really nice on the back of the neck with this padding, as opposed to this really thin material that kind of digs into your neck. By the way, they also give you a manual, a USB-C cable, a little keychain, some extra attachments, so if you don't want to use this kickstand, you can use another one. And they do give you some screws, or some springs, but I was told these are not lighter springs than what is already installed. So if you want to get lighter springs, you're going to have to get the other ones. It comes with this foam case. You probably want to get something a little bit more beefy and long-term, such as this case. Works really well. Now I did take off these back grips without taking anything else off, just to see if I could get in there and adjust the gimbal stiffness without taking everything off. Looks like we can adjust our throttle stiffness here, and the ratcheting of the throttle too. However, I do not think you can access any of the others, such as yaw, pitch, or roll. Now, if you were to change this from mode 2 to mode 1, you can adjust your throttle on this side in that case. I understand you're not going inside your radio every day, but if you're a stickler for how those gimbal sticks are going to feel and the tightness of your gimbals, then you might do this a few times before you get the exact feel you're looking for. In that case, this is extremely annoying. So we're going to take this off. That's going to be the antenna, 2.4 gigahertz antenna, which is holding the back of the radio. You have to do this. We're going to take off the side pieces. So this is going to be like the side grips. Gotta take the battery out. There we go. Now we can take this thing apart. It's actually kind of hard to show on camera. Those are your gimbals in the back. You can see they move. Then there's a screw for each range of motion to loosen or tighten. So I really like the radio. I'm glad that they were able to send this to me. I was gonna buy it anyway. It's just, luck that they were to send it to me before I made the purchase of the radio itself. If you have any questions, comment below. I am gonna add a link in the video description and top pin comment to this radio as well as the Max version if you wanna go all out. There's not a whole lot different mechanically with the Max version. It's more like cosmetic differences, but it might set you apart from the other guys because it seems like everyone is using the RadioMaster TX16S lately. Thank you to RadioMaster for sending this to me, and until next time, happy flying.